I feel that what's making people shy away from farming is because most farmers walang kita. And hirap talaga ang mga farmers today. So I think what farmers need to understand is the business side of farming. I'd like to share with you the business side of farming, paano siya pakitain. And I'd like to share with you the discoveries that we have learned as we go along. I'm not a farmer. I used to work for Hewlett-Packard. In 1997, I left the company and moved my family to Bukidnon and made them live in a 20-foot container van. In 1997, I resigned from the company, not because matapang ho ako. Ang kwento ho namin, I was assistant country manager of Hewlett-Packard. I think you know that company, no, mga computers and printers. And in 1997, I had this very, very strong desire, burden to leave. When I left, wala ho akong pera and napapunta ho kami sa Bukidnon. Sa Bukidnon naman, wala ho kaming kaibigan and kamag-anak. It's a long story. I cannot tell you all the detail, but napadpad kami doon. We were able to borrow money from the family of my wife to buy a piece of land. Ito yung lupa namin noon. Sino ba nakapunta na sa inyo sa Bukidnon? You know, when people go to Bukidnon, sabihin na, ang ganda ng Bukidnon, all green. Tama? And I always say, kung ganyan ang itsura na maganda, sabihin ko sa inyo, ang pangit ng Bukidnon. Because it's all kugon. You see, kugon is a symbol of desolation. What do I mean? Kugon can only grow in acidically bad soil. Pag nakakita ka ng kugon, walang ibang tutubo dyan. Pag sinunog mong kugon, babalik ang kugon. And people think, ang ganda ng Batanes, no? When I went to Batanes, sabi ko, puro kugon. Walang kwenta lupa niyan. So yan ho ang lupa namin. And we borrowed money to start a hog growing business for Monterrey. So, contract grower kami ng Monterrey. And I was telling my wife, huwag ka mag-alala, babes, I'll build you a better house after 5 years. When we started to grow hogs from Monterrey, nalungkot ho ako. Kasi na-realize ko, pag contract grower ka o franchisee ka, hindi ka magugutom. Hindi ka lang yayaman. Ang laki-laki ng investment, but hindi ka yayaman? Kasi ang lit-lit ng margin na nakuha mo eh. You get a very small margin. And so I realized I could not keep my promise to my wife. So this led me to read the Bible. I'm not a pastor, please don't call me pastor or priest, but I only read the Bible because I was just looking for comfort from God. I realized I could not give them a better life. So I'd read it from Genesis to Revelation because hindi ako marunong magbasa ng Bible. And I would do that year after year. And then, one day I realized that the most successful business people in history are all in the Old Testament. Let me explain. You might have read of a person named Abraham. Si Abraham dayo yan. When he was there in the land, nag-away sila ng pamangkin niya si Lot, naghatian sila. Si Lot got the better land. Si Abraham got barren land. And many years after, Abraham became the richest man in the place. So sabi ko, ano ginawa niya? And one of my idol, one of the person I really respect na negosyante, si Joseph. To me, he's the best businessman in history, or one of the best businessman in history. Talo niya si Steve Jobs. Bakit? Kasi he became a slave, he became a prisoner, then became the prime minister of Egypt. Joseph saved Egypt from 7 years of famine. Can you imagine, you saved the greatest nation from 7 years of famine? I don't think Steve Jobs could have done that. So I told myself, sabi niya sa sarili ko, Dong, wala nang mawawala sa'yo kasi wala na naman lahat. So walang mawawala if you now read the Bible as a business book. So which I did. I read the Bible as a business book and as a farming book. It became a reference. So whatever Bible says, I would do. I would even rest the soil on the 7th year. Hanggang ngayon. Today, my farm is pesticide-free. We don't use fertilizer, we don't use pesticides. Over time, nangyari siya. As I studied the Bible, everything it will say I will do, and miracles started to happen. One of the miracles that happened sa amin, in 2002 to 2010, we became the biggest lettuce supplier of McDonald's for the country. Can you imagine yung lettuce during that time was coming from a very small farm in Bukidnon, and we're not even farmers. The other miracle that happened is that I converted that container van into a house, a small house, and I was telling my wife, siguro because of how things are, I'll give you a better house 20 years from now. 21 years na ho kami sa Bukidnon. I should have given my wife a better house last year. But in 2002, God gave us that house. So we moved from a container van to a much better house in 4 years. Mirakulo yan ni God. And the farm that used to start like that, today, ganyan ang itsura ng farm namin. We have actually reforested it. Inside the farm, I grow hogs for Monterey. I have a large lettuce operation. Okay, we believe we're one of the biggest high-value crops farm in one farm lang ha. Kasi sa Benguet marami sila. I have a big high-value crops operation. I continue to build my trees, my forest. I have goats, I have sheep, I have chicken, I have turkey. And ang uniqueness ho namin, hindi kami humiram ng pera. While we borrowed money to start this, lahat ho yan, hindi hiniraman ng pera yan. Ang rason, hindi kami makahiram ng pera. What do I mean? Kasi wala ho kami pang collateral eh. We went there with nothing eh. And kasi wala kaming kaibigan ng kamag-anak, walang mag-guarantee ng utang namin. And yung isa pa hong rason, kaya hindi ako makahiram ng pera kasi matigas ulo ng misis ko. Di ba? And I came from the corporate world. So I believe, lagyan mo ng pera ang negosyo, lalakihan ka agad. My wife came from a very conservative family. Yumaman sila by being conservative. So hindi siya sanay ng ganon. And takot siya na baka pag umutang kami, hindi namin mabayaran, maubos lahat. So we would always fight. So sabi ko sa wife, sa business ko, one day kasi away kami ng away, sabi ko sa kanya, pag hindi ka mag-submit sa akin, ako ang magsasubmit sa'yo. Hindi tapos so yung kwento, di ba? Tapos yung away, di ba? Pero something interesting happened. Because I did not have access to money, I became very creative. When you go to our farm, wala ho kaming greenhouse, wala kaming tractor, we use people, we use carabaos, and yet we've done all of this. So I have this conclusion. Conclusion ko, ang Pilipino creative. Huwag mo lang bigyan ng pera. Kasi kinasisira ng Pilipino ang pera. Di ba? Like for example, 4Ps, binigyan mo ng pera, did you improve their lives? No. Di ba? Lalo naging tamad. Di ba? So I realized blessing pala yung pag wala kang pera. So I really love my wife for being hard-headed. However, after all of this was happening, I formed a foundation. I formed a foundation to teach what we do because some people asked me to teach them. And as they train with us, yung nangyari sa amin, nangyari sa negosyo nila. So one day, the friend said, Dong, you better write your story in a book so that people will learn. So I did. In 2014, I wrote this book. I chose the title, Breaking Through, because yun ho yung kwento namin. God allowed us to experience a breakthrough, meaning we came from a position of need to a position of relative abundance with very, very little resources. And I am sure many of you are here because you are looking for breakthroughs. Am I correct? You're all looking for breakthroughs in your life. And I said in the book, this cannot be my story. This is God's story written in our lives to tell all of you. Kung kaya niyang gawin sa akin, na wala akong pera, hindi ako farmer, we're not from Bukidnon, kaya niya gawin sa inyo lahat. And I said also in the book that the God who was alive in the time of Abraham is still alive today. Pero kung totoo yan, how come we're not experiencing Him? Can I tell you why, my conclusion? Ang rason, you call yourself Christians eh. Ang tanong, kailan kayo pumupunta kay God? When do you go to God? Often when we go to God, when we are desperate already, alam mo, marami na tayong ginawa. Pag mali na palpak na, we go to God, di ba? Often hindi niya na ma-undo yung ginawa natin. And over time, I realized this. God stripped me of everything I have. A good job, money, resources, so that I had no choice but to go to Him. And today, ang testimony ko is to tell you, look at what God has done. And ang hope ko, I was telling God you know, the Lord, the thing that you've taught me are just too much for a farmer. What do I do with this? And that's the reason why I go offer the training. Okay? I'm happy na to be given the chance to do this for you. Kasi I feel it is not for me only. Salamat for watching this video. Sana may natutunan ka. Kung meron kang natutunan, meron sana akong isang request sa'yo. I will not ask you to subscribe to my channel because hindi ko naman taga-goal ang sumikat. Ang gusto ko lang makatulong. So kung merong natulong tong video na to sa'yo, ang request ko, i-share mo sa kamag-anak mo o sa kaibigan mo. Help me help them. Sana together we can improve this world. I hope to see you in my other videos. So salamat.